All right, so Orioles was baseball, and now let's talk about football, because that's what a sport I know a lot about. Ravens, the Ravens. Football team, the Ravens. Baltimore football team. Their stadiums, the Orioles and the Ravens, are right next to each other. I haven't been in either of them. So Ravens is actually an interesting one. There actually probably are no Ravens.
I saw Raven once.
What?
I saw Raven
You saw a Raven?
at the zoo.
Oh, there are some Ravens at the zoo.
One, too.
The Baltimore Zoo?
There's just one.
I thought they had two brothers who lived there. Did one of them die?
I saw one.
Maybe one of them died. Anyway, their Ravens don't really live in cities, but there probably are some Ravens in Maryland. But honestly, even in the whole state, including like the mountainous areas of Maryland, there might not be that many Ravens. It's just not really the place they live. But though people see crows and they probably don't know the difference between a crow and a raven. If you see a black bird in an urban area, it's a crow. There's not going to be a raven living in an urban area. Although ravens live, they're kind of like rats. They live all over the world, and they are really successful and aren't really in danger at all because they eat anything and they're really smart. So yeah, they're kind of like the rats of the sky. But they're pretty different than crows. Crows are smaller. They're like a third of the size of ravens. So that's an easy way to tell the difference. But also their tail feathers are a different shape. Ravens have their tails end in a triangle. It's probably because they fly more than crows do. Crows kind of walk around more. And they have their tail feathers are flat instead of a diamond shape. But they're so much bigger, and they're smarter too. Although they are part of the same group called, it's like Dipod or something. Derek's looking it up.
You want to know what they're called?
They're called corvids. Corvids. They're the Einsteins of the bird family.
Say that again when you're sitting down.
They're called corvids. Derek said, say that again while you're sitting down, so I will. They're called corvids. So that includes crows, but ravens are smarter. They've been around for longer, and they're bigger. Ooh. I'm just watching some swallows. But they're super smart. Like, they put them on the same level as chimpanzees and dolphins. They communicate just about as much as dolphins can. They've identified 20 different distinct calls that ravens make that mean certain things. So they have their own language, and they also communicate non-verbally. They do gestures, so they'll like point with their beaks, and they'll hold up items to other crows. They've got like really complicated relationships with each other, and their whole family dynamic is interesting too. I mean, they, like a lot of birds, are monogamous for the most part, like the Orioles, but they will have their little baby, and once the baby is old enough to fly, it goes off and joins a... Are you glaring at me? Because I was about to swear? Oh, a gang. It's basically like the Amish. They go on their Rumspringa and have a good time with all the other adolescent crows before they become an adult and have some
Why do you say
babies.
crows?
Oh, they're ravens, not crows.
So say that whole sentence again.
But until they do that, they will hunt together, they'll hang out together, and they're super social animals. And they form very emotional bonds with each other. They've been known to even, like, they'll fight with each other, and if one raven is friends with another raven and that raven loses a fight, the other raven will go over and noticeably console that raven, which is definitely, what's the word? When you humanify something, you apply human traits to an animal.
Anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphize. What else do I need to talk about? Oh, anting. So it's this behavior where they basically will disrupt an anthill and make the ants come out to face a threat, and the ants get all up on them and start getting up in their feathers, and they're just rolling around in this anthill, and they're killing the ants too. They're like squashing them, and they're rubbing their guts on them, and somehow that's something that these birds love. The scientists don't know really why they do it, and they say that it's like, it definitely seems like an addictive behavior no matter why they're doing it, like whether the ants are cleaning other bugs off of them, whether like smearing their guts on them is antibacterial in some way, but it seems like they just love the feeling of it, and what a bizarre behavior. I mean, I'm trying to think of the human equivalent. I guess when you stick your feet in the pond with the guppies and they're trying to eat you and they eat your dead skin, but you don't kill the guppies and smear their guts on you. Anyway, ravens are weird. Crows are smart too, but ravens are smarter. Ravens are bigger. They also have like flanges. Is that the word? They got like feathers under here that fan out when they're trying to call to each other. That's the difference.
Hackles.
Somebody's AC just shot on.
They're called hackles.
They're called haggles?
Hackle.
Hackle? This is a hackle.
Tell us about.
So we talked about some sports teams, huh? Sports ball! I think I'm about ready to be done. Gender is a construct!